What if you could build a business that gives you the life of freedom you deserve? What if you could find the secrets to marketing, leadership, customer service, and other aspects of business that help you exceed your goals? What if you could walk away from your business for 30 days and it never misses a beat? That's what this podcast is for, to help business leaders like you find freedom from the day-to-day grind and start spending your time doing the things you love. I'm Levi McClendon, and my co-host is Josh Taylor, and this is the Cheers to Freedom podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Cheers to Freedom podcast. I am your host, Josh Taylor. I'm with my host, Levi McClendon. Levi, how are you? Look like you're going to play golf.
I wish I was going to play golf. I'm doing excellent, Josh. There's a lot of things going on right now, which is great. And we have this conversation a lot that it's, I think, better to be busy and have things going on than to be sitting back, twiddling your thumbs, hoping and praying for business and vision. And so I'm blessed. I'll just tell you that I am blessed.
We have a lot going on. Even as we are recording this podcast, we are running 2 big tests with a couple of customers testing out a new product that we're launching. And so we're I've got that running on my screen over here. So if you see me look to the side a little bit, that's what I'm looking at. So we just decided to do everything at one time, but you're heading out of town for a little while, so we needed to get a recording in. I'm excited about the topic that we're talking about today, but yeah, we have a lot happening. But you're right. We don't like to kind of sit on our laurels and just rest on what we have. That's what the status quo does. We're constantly creating more work for ourselves.
Absolutely. It's you can't be comfortable. You can't just sit there, man. If you're not moving forwards, I believe you're moving backwards. You just don't rest. And I think you have to continue to develop yourself, develop your teams, develop your products. And if you're doing that and always innovating, I think you're going to be challenged, Josh, but I think that's how we thrive, right? I think that you and I both do well in that environment. And so does a lot of our team. And so I'd rather, again, be challenged and busy than sitting back going, oh, what am I going to do next? So yeah, right. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. We've got a lot of exciting things happening. And actually the thing that we're testing today, we are planning to dive deep into at the upcoming summit that we're doing in Tampa, which those of you that are listening, if it's before March 24th, you can still register for that at upspotsummit.com and actually get to see what we're looking at right here. So unless the test just bombs, which I don't think it will.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're getting that in now. So people actually don't have to listen to the entire episode, although we would love that you did. But that's a good plug right there, Josh. So well done.
Thanks. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. I don't, but it's almost like well, hey, today we are talking, speaking of the team, employees, and all of those things. That's what we're talking about today. Doesn't necessarily have directly to do with marketing. Sort of does because of some of the things that we're talking about in it. But really what it comes down to is I see a lot of this on Facebook and talking to different business owners, whether it's car washes or any kind of business, is sometimes they complain about their employees thinking and wishing, man, I just wish that they would care about the business the way that I do. And the reality is for the most part, they don't. And the reason is because it's not their business. It's your business. Doesn't mean they don't care. It doesn't mean that they don't care a lot. It just doesn't mean that it's not the thing that they've built. It's not their baby. It's probably not what they think about 24/7 when they lay their head down at night, because they're not the ones having to make sure that payroll is met and insurances are paid and customers are being, staying and sticking around and doing all of those things. Those are not the things that they're constantly thinking about. They're thinking about the job that they have to do for the most part. So we want to talk about that today, why your employees don't care about your business as much as you do and what you can do about to make them care more. So any thoughts on that before we dive into it?
No, I'm just, part of our podcast, Josh, okay, of course, the name of it's the Cheers to Freedom podcast. And I think we've made this clear before, but I really want to do more than just marketing. And so I'm excited about episodes like this. I love marketing, there's no doubt. But I think a lot of people that are listening to this, are probably owners, entrepreneurs. And sometimes I think something directed toward them, I typically can relate more than even you, because you obviously such a marketing mind. You've created obviously a name for yourself in the space. You've been doing this a very long time and you're passionate about it, which is awesome. I'm the same way, but I'm more passionate about business, entrepreneurship. How do we take the company to the next level? And one of the big challenges, Josh, is getting your people to buy into just the culture, right? Your culture, who you are. Are they going to care as much as you do? The bottom line, and you said that, the reality is they're just not. They don't have the skin in the game. They don't have the initial, and again, nothing against them, nothing against you, Josh, but, or even, Jeremy, or, our C-suite, or, the reality is this: if payroll needs to be paid, I have to pay it. You don't. I mean, that's just straight up. If the bills,
you got to go find the money somewhere.
What's that?
You got to go find the money somewhere.
I got to find the money. Now, could you help me do that? Yeah, absolutely. But thank the Lord, we don't need to. But there's been times in my life as an entrepreneur, I couldn't pay the bills. There's been a time in my life where I literally, previous to OpSpot in the car wash space, when I owned a mortgage company, when the market was tanking and whatnot, guess who had to continue to cut paychecks? I did. And so it's one of those, that mentality as an owner, I think keeps you up at night, and I've had this conversation with other entrepreneurs and owners of car washes. And, there's a lot of you guys out there right now that have actually taken money, right? You've got investors, you've got banks, money, and, and it's who's responsible for paying that back?
It's not the part-time employees.
No, it's your responsibility. So when you put your head down on your pillow at night, if you're a non-owner and that's not on you, you get to go to bed and wake up and hope that the owner, hope that your entrepreneur, pray that you're, the founder of the company is paying those bills so that you can go there. But it's like it's just different, Josh. I really truly believe there is a difference in that piece versus, of an employee. And again, nothing against employees. That's what makes this world go round. But I don't think everyone understands what it truly is like to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is, we've done things specifically in our business to help counteract that. I would say that there's not an employee that we have that doesn't care about the business. There's some that probably care more than others. For some, it is a paycheck. It is, it's a great job. It's pretty flexible. They get to work from home, do all of these different great things. But at the end of the day, it's different. I know, and I won't speak for the rest of our C-suite. I think I could, but I know for me, and I've told you this before, I treat this business as if I am an owner in it, but it's because of the way that you've even worked with me and aligned my role and how you don't micromanage, the autonomy that you've given me, all of these different things. And that has made the difference in how I even approach my job here. That is more than just a paycheck for me. But as we dive into this, I want to talk through some, 3 things that those that are listening can do to help your employees care more. But I first want to, talk about the maybe 3 reasons why they don't. And I think the first one we've already hit on. They have no financial stake in the business. So if the business fails, they don't have anything to lose except a job. They can turn around the next day and go find another job, but they don't have any financial risk that they're going to lose. The other one is that for most of them, especially those that are listening, you probably have, young employees, whether they're full-time or part-time. This is still this isn't a career for them. For some of them, maybe your general managers and stuff like that, it is. But for those part-time employees or those, CSAs and stuff, this isn't a career for them. So they're showing up every day for a paycheck, not building a career necessarily. Now, some of them might. And honestly, that will be one of our things that we talk about is this could be a roadmap for a career for them, depending on how you approach it. And then the last one is expecting them to take ownership without being incentivized is frustrating for them. We want you to wash more cars. We want you basically to create more work for yourself. But at the end of the day, it's like when I go to a fast food restaurant and which I don't anymore. But let's say, one day that I went to Burger King, that employee behind the counter could care less if I purchase something or not. They are there to show up for a paycheck. In fact, when I show up, it's an inconvenience for them because now they're working. And that is a lot of times the way that employees will approach their job is I'm just showing up. Whether anybody shows up or not, I'm still getting paid, but the owner doesn't. And that's the difference. And so we need to counter that with culture, I think is probably the biggest thing that you just said. But for me, the first one would be the purpose. And I feel like you've defined that really well inside of our company. The purpose of our business. It's not just to do marketing for car washes. Mm-hmm. Really, the purpose of what we do is to help car wash owners and operators find freedom in their business so that they can build a life and business that they love, which gives me every day, we're running this test right now, not so that we can simply create a new product that we can sell. It's really, this is another solution to help our customers find more freedom in their business, make more money, have more resources. and do those things.
Yeah, Josh, I actually think this is probably the number one thing. So whoever's listening right now, if you are an entrepreneur, you run a business, pay attention, because this to me is probably the single most important thing we've done at OpSpot, and that is create purpose. The purpose isn't for all of us to wake up in the morning, check our email, do tasks, come up with marketing ideas, whatever. When I ask our employees about doing their job isn't to the job, right? When I say the big picture is every day, are you helping somebody else live their life of freedom? What did you do today to help somebody? And for a long time, it was to make the lives of, our purpose was to, when we first started, was to make the lives, of operators and owners easier. Just make their lives easier. What do we do today to make their life easier? And we've shifted that to the life of freedom, right? Freedom of many things: time, money, relationships, purpose. What is that? And so for us to come in and say, listen, our bigger purpose, our mission, vision-driven purpose is to help people live their life of freedom. But I think what is probably equally as important, Josh, is us turning around and helping our employees do the same thing. Because I can't ask them to do it for other people if I'm not turning around and doing it for them. So the question then is not just are our employees helping people live the life of freedom, but the question to me every day is, and to my C-suite, right? This goes from the top down. What are we doing to help our employees live their life of freedom? And when you make that the bigger mission, the bigger purpose, people rally around that. They want something bigger than just a paycheck. They really do. They want something bigger than just checking a box every single day. Now, you're going to have those people join your company. There's going to be people that come in for a certain season of their life. They're just looking for, 6 months, 12 months, whatnot. They're going to have a position and they're going to move on. And honestly, that's okay. There's probably a place for that. But I will tell you, for us, Josh, it is so important. And based off of our core values, based off of our mission, that's how we hire. That's how we interview. We try to obviously bring people up within our company, but whether they fit that culture is extremely important. And to me, being the business owner, that is one of three. There's three major, I'm going to share these real quick. There's three major things that I will not give up. And it's because of my past history. It's because of some failures, right? Failures is not failing, we're learning. And those three things are culture. I'll never give that up. That's my responsibility. If you want a company that has culture and vision and driven, you've got it as the owner, you have to own that. Number two is going to be the finances. Now you're a big company, you need CFO, controllers, whatever, but man, you've got to have a handle. And I know this is off track a little bit, but I'm just sharing those three things for me. So financially, I know where the cash is. I know where the cash flow is. Again, here's the reason, Josh, nobody cares as much as I do. Nobody is going to pay attention except for the owner, because when things get tough, it's back on you. And I learned that because I did go through hell back in the mortgage days when everything went to pot. I did have a CFO. I did go that, and I lost sight of it. And I got blindsided, and it was brutal. So that's the second thing. And the third thing that I won't lose sight of is vision. Okay. We talked about that before. Like early on in this podcast, it's like, if we're not casting vision, if we're not moving forward, if we're not getting uncomfortable, nobody else is. They are following the leader. They were following you. So those three things, I would say, are the top three things in an entrepreneur's quiver that I would say you never want to get rid of. And so Sorry to go down that path, but I get pretty passionate about it. And I think that makes a difference.
Well, I think the most important thing that you've got to do is you've got to establish purpose for your employees and give them that purpose. And for a car wash, it can be as simple as, everybody that shows up, we're going to make sure that this is the best experience that they have all day, not because it's going to grow our business, which it will, but it's because everybody deserves to have a bright spot in their day. Let's be that bright spot. So now you can give that to them. You give them that purpose. Every day I'm showing up. One of the things that we've talked about when we talk about unreasonable hospitality, I love the illustration that Will Guidara gave in a speech that I heard was I think I've talked about this before, a UPS store, a franchise. This wasn't a general UPS rule. This was just that franchise. He gave the employees every day they could comp $40 worth of shipping for a customer. So now that gives them a purpose. Every day they're coming in and they're looking and say, okay, which employee am I going to, is going to deserve this $40, where we can say, hey, your shipping is on us today. And they could do that for up to $40. Awesome. And maybe you give an incentive of, hey, you can give 2 people that show up just a surprise free wash. maybe it looks like they're having a bad day, or they've got kids in the car and it looks like they're obviously going crazy. Make their day today. So you have the freedom to give somebody that smile today, make their day. And they're going to be talking about that. So give them purpose. Maybe for your managers and stuff like that, it's, you're going to develop these younger employees. You're going to turn them into people that are going to be really valuable on the marketplace, whether they stay with us or they build a career somewhere else. We're going to turn these people into valuable employees in the marketplace and help develop them.
Well, those are the intangibles, I think, Josh, that go so far, right? Those are the things that stick in the minds of your clients, customers. I know, for real quick, Jeremy and I were flying. We'd gone out to an LWF Leadership with Following deal in Denver several years ago. And we were flying back to Hawaii because we happened to be out there at the time. And we were like, oh, it'd be awesome to be, first class, but we weren't first, it's expensive. We're like, we're not going to do that, whatnot. Anyway, we go up to the booth and there was I think it was Delta. The agent came up and literally walked us, like I don't remember exactly what happened, but she walked us down two booths away, cut us in front of the line, then offered us first class for like $250 to Hawaii. And she said, basically, she gets 2 times a day. She's able to do that for people.
Well, that's good to know.
That's never happened to me before, but I'm not going to forget that. And that was an impactful. Now, what does that do for them? I don't know. Why did they choose us? I have no idea. But it impacted Jeremy and I, that is for sure. And I think those intangibles, gosh, man, if I had a car wash, Josh, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that we've ever talked about doing that before, but could you imagine being like, your job is to make people happy today and you have, 5 free washes. That cost you guys nothing. But what does it do to impact and change somebody's life that's coming through the wash? I think that's genius. That's a really great idea. And if anyone's doing it out there,
it
please
does
let us
something for
know.
your customers, but it gives your employees a purpose. Like,
yes.
I'm going to make somebody's day today.
Yes.
And that's my job. My job is not to open the gate and let people through. It's not my job to load people. My job is to give them the biggest smile that I can give them.
Yeah.
And try to get a smile out of them.
Well, they feel like they're making a difference. People want to make a difference. They really do. They don't just want to come to work and do the same thing over and over again. But when you can impact somebody's life positively and make a difference in this world, I think that's where you make major change.
Yeah. And so the next one that I have here that I think, so we've got purpose, give them a purpose. And I agree. I think that's the number one. People need to show up every day with a purpose. That's what gets people out of bed. In fact, that's one of the 3 rules of life that Viktor Frankl talks about in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. He says the number one thing that people need to live a meaningful life is a purpose. So give your employees a purpose. But the second one is autonomy and responsibility. And I think that there's a lot of people that work for us that need to be told what to do every day. But even with those people, you can still give them autonomy and responsibility, even by giving them ownership over their job. Like, hey, what can we do to make your job more purposeful? What can we do to make your job better or improve your workflow? Give us some ideas. Don't give all the ideas top down. Maybe have a leadership discussion with them. Bring them in on some of those meetings and get their input and their feedback. Because a lot of times the best ideas come from the people you wouldn't expect, and people will take ownership of those ideas if they feel like it's their idea.
Yeah, and newsflash, entrepreneurs, you're not as good as you think you are.
Yeah. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you're not the
smartest person in the room. And obviously our job is to hire smarter people than ourselves, right? If you're a smart entrepreneur, you're going to bring people into the room. You're going to hire people that know more than you. And I would tell you this, you've got to swallow your pride. You have to, they say delegate and elevate, right? Mm-hmm. So you give it to them, but don't just give it to them and then, poo-poo on all of their ideas. I say poo-poo. I think that's the first time in how many episodes I've said poo-poo, but anyway.
Well, I mean, you have a 9-year-old. So
I did say haboob once. Remember that?
Oh, I couldn't get over that one.
Look it up, guys. That's a real thing. Haboob. It's in Arizona, maybe Texas. I'm not sure, but sorry, I digress. The point being is that when we delegate and we get other people involved, Josh, and you said it, people take ownership. Right. And people want to take ownership, but you have to allow them. And even if it's not the idea or the way, this is what I've had to learn. Even if and this is hard, right? Because I always think my idea is the best way, but it's not. And even if it's not the way you would do it, you have to embrace that and you have to encourage it. And then even if you think, they're probably going to hit a roadblock here, let them. That's the only way that they're going to learn. And then again, pivot, make an adjustment and help them. And when they do come to you with that problem, also encourage them to have a solution to that problem.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I think your job as a leader is to give clear instructions give clarity around it, and then let them have some ownership in the role. Let them, even in the responsibilities. Again, going back to give them 5 free washes a day that they can use. They get to choose who those are given to, and just say, look, I don't want it to be your friends every day. I don't want, give expectations around it. I want it to be a real legitimate customer. I don't want you just hooking up pretty girls with free washes or pretty boys. I don't want you, taking care of all your friends. I don't want it to be the same people all the time. Like, this is the purpose of this. Here's the expectations. Here's the clarity. You get to choose who gets it. And that gives them ownership of that. And that's just a simple example, but there's so many different ways. But I think you said it. What's the saying? There's multiple ways to skin a cat. At the end of the day, as long as it's cat skin, which I don't know who's skinning cats, but that's weird. But at the end of the day, if the cat's skinned, that's ultimately what matters. And so give people that ownership, and they'll take more ownership of that.
Hold on. I know you want to go to the next flow, but real quick, I want to talk about clarity real fast.
But you want to talk about skinning cats.
One of the most frustrating things is to give to receive instruction and not know exactly what you're supposed to do. On our end, when I delegate, there should be what it is, when you want it, what do you want, when you want it due by, and it needs to be very clear. And sometimes what we're thinking in our heads when we're delegating is not the same thing somebody is hearing, and have that person repeat back or email back or Basecamp back, whatever that is, exactly what you want them to do, because nothing's more frustrating is for them to give something back. You're like, that's not right. Well, in reality, when you really look at it, that communication is key. And a quick story, Josh, we were just down for a C-suite in Zihuatanejo, and we had some steaks for dinner. And Nick, our CTO, had a big steak left over. Him and Molly shared one, so they left. He said, I'm going to do steak tacos in the morning, or for lunch.
Steak and eggs.
It was steak and eggs. That's right. I'm going to do steak and eggs in the morning. So he tells the chef, hey, can I get steak and eggs? And so they literally brought scrambled eggs and there's reheated the steak, big O steak. And he's like, that's not exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking like, cut up pieces of steak and my eggs, like steak and eggs. And we laughed, and I said, that's very typical. Did they bring you steak and eggs? They did.
They gave you what you asked for.
Big old slab of steak and eggs, but it's not exactly what he had anticipated, but he wasn't clear with his instructions. So that just kind of came to my mind. I've been wanting to use that, and I felt like that was a pretty good time to use it.
So then the last one is recognitions and rewards. And I think that this is something we've implemented in OpSpot, is not just you as the leader recognizing employees, which is very important. I think that goes a long way. We need to realize that people need validation more than we think. Even if we don't think they're the type of person that needs validation, most likely, especially if they're an A player, if they're like an Enneagram 3 entrepreneurs, we live off of validation. That for me is probably the most important thing. Is I want to know that I'm doing a good job. I want to be recognized when I'm doing a good job. And I think that we probably don't do that enough as leaders. But the other one is allowing your employees to recognize one another and reward one another. And so that's something that we've implemented in OpSpot over the last year. And it's been a lot of fun for our employees, but I also think it's made a big difference when people step in to do something, they go above and beyond, they get recognized by their peers for it. So, talk a little bit about how we've done that in OpSpot.
Yeah, I think it's very important to recognize others. And I will tell you, it's probably one of my biggest weaknesses as an entrepreneur. Partly because I just expect a lot from people, and I just expect people to do their jobs and do a good job. And that's hard. I've had to really work on, being okay with letting people know that they're doing a great job. Like, keep it up. You're doing a good job. And I'll be honest, that's not always easy.
Especially if they're not doing a great job.
What's that?
Especially if they're not doing a great job.
Yeah, especially if they're not doing a great job. I'm not going to lie to them. To me, it's, I look at that even with my kids sometimes, and there's a certain expectation that I have. And so if my kids say, hey, Dad, I, picked up that piece of garbage and put in the trash today or whatever. Awesome.
Like, good, that's what you were supposed to do.
What do you want? A brownie? Like, hey, Dad, I did the dishes after dinner tonight. Okay. But I need to be in the parent, right? And that's the same thing with, I think, as we have other people's that we affect in our lives, it's very important to give that, the attaboys and let them know they're doing a good job. You know what? If they're not doing a good job, be really honest, bring them in, talk to them so that they can do a better job. That's just a side note. But yeah, we've implemented, actually, Josh, I feel like this is really important. We did it this last year. It's been a year now. We implemented 2 things. First of all, we implemented Awardco, and I was going to go down the path of Dream Manager, but that's something different, which we'll talk about in a minute. But anyway, Awardco has been a great program for us. It allows us to peer-to-peer recognition. So if somebody steps up and helps somebody out and maybe goes above and beyond, we give them a budget every month. And so it's all automated. It works out really well. And they're able to post, and they post in Slack, because we use Slack as our communication channel internally. And so they're able to give shout outs. And it's great to recognize other people. It makes you feel seen. It makes you feel heard. And we're a remote-based company, right? So it's even harder for us, I think, because we're not right there. We're not slapping high fives. We're not, congratulating, and we're not around each other all the time. So it's really important for us to make sure we're recognizing others, our peers, as well as our subordinates, and letting them know they're doing a good job. And what's awesome is everybody in the company gets to see it. And so when somebody does do a good job, everyone gets to say, hey, nice job. Then they can comment on it, give a high five. Obviously, it's virtual, things like that. So I think, and there's other programs. So if you're listening now, Awardco's good. They're a little bit pricey. I think another one that's really good is Nectar. I know Ryan with H2Go, I think, uses Nectar. I highly recommend some type of an awards program that you can do that is peer-to-peer, as well as, your managers can obviously recognize your subordinates. So
yeah, absolutely. And recognize, maybe you see an employee that's doing something that you didn't ask them to do, and they're just taking ownership of it. Maybe they had some downtime and they walked the vacuum lot and started picking up trash or doing something, or maybe even started engaging employees. Like, recognize the actions that you want your employees to keep repeating. Maybe even things that you haven't necessarily asked them to do, or it's not in their job description, but you want to encourage that. Hey, I want to encourage these employees to go and engage our customers. I want to encourage them to go and walk the lot and pick up trash when things are dead. I don't want to have to keep telling them. So recognize those things and incentivize them. Recognize them with a gift card, or, most of these employees, they don't have a lot of money. And so probably the thing that would incentivize them is a gift card or cash, or if they're married, maybe a date night at a restaurant that they couldn't normally afford to go to. Go above and beyond. A surprise and delight. We talk about that with our customers, but what if you surprised and delighted your employees as well with things that were just out of the blue because of the great job that they're doing? I think that goes a long way, and it creates loyalty for them to you, because you're taking good care of them. You're showing them that you care about them. And I do believe that that's the thing. If your employees know that you absolutely care about them, they're more likely going to care about you. But if they don't feel like you care about them, at the end of the day, this is just a job to them, and they could care less whether it, succeeds or fails.
Well, and it comes from the top down, Josh. I think it's really hard if the top management structure does not do the same thing, right? Again, more is caught than taught. And when they see you doing those things, guess what? That cascades down to the next level. And it's amazing. I've had guys, senior management on our team literally buy crazy, like melon hats for dudes that just have talked about it out of their own funds. Like, it's not my funds. It's not the company's funds, but they see the impact and the difference that it makes on other people's lives. I know Stacy in the digital department, man. Those girls, they all come together at Cancun. They all had more swag than we did, man. She, with her own dime, her own deal, took care of her team, gave them these really cool pajamas with OpsBot logos, and just made them feel special. And I think that goes to show the culture of our team and company. And man, that made me as the owner feel so just, I guess, proud. Just like, wow, look at what's happening in this department here with these people. And I didn't even know. I'm like, hey, where's my pajamas with my logo, right? So anyway, it does get caught. People do see it. It does make a major difference, and it'll impact the future of your company and your turnover. We have very, very little attrition. And again, not to say OpsBot's, I hate to even talk about it, because as soon as you do, something happens. But ultimately, I don't believe that. And we have very good retention. We have very good culture. And it's because I think it's because we care, Josh, and it's real. And you do have to care.
Absolutely. So I think the three things that you guys that are listening can do to really begin to help your employees care about your business more. Again, they're never going to care about it like you do, because it's your business, but they can be incentivized to care. And a lot of it has to do with give them a purpose, recognize when they're doing a great job, and do it publicly in front of people. Don't just it's great to get the pat on the back and hear from the boss, hey, I'm doing a great job. Recognize them in front of their peers, because you also want the peers to know what gets rewarded in the company as well. And then the last one is develop that leadership mindset to prioritize motivation over control. Again, give them that autonomy, give them that responsibility. But like you said, put clarity around it, give clear instructions, and then let people take responsibility and ownership of their roles. And I think that you will see a change in the way that, and honestly, what it's going to do is it's going to weed out your bad employees, and your good employees they're going to really get stronger, and they're probably going to push those bad employees out. And then you're going to start being able to hire rock stars, because those great employees probably hang out with other people that would be great employees, and they're going to be your best promoters and recruiters.
Yep. And the reality is, Josh, is when you start putting together that team and you want to hire somebody, it's interesting. We have our own team that refers people, but they're very careful to refer people that they know would fit that culture of our company, because it's now on them. Like, are they going to fit in? Or are they not?
They got to answer for them.
And they know it's special. It's special to work for a company like that. And my encouragement is that you create such a culture and such a thriving business that's not just a job, but it's a movement, right? It's a mission. It's something to where people line up to want to work for you, and your own employees are very careful. They do want to refer people, but they're careful about who they're going to put their name to, for the sheer fact of they want to be proud of who they're referring. Do they fit the culture, and are they going to make an impact?
Yeah. So my encouragement is, those of you that are listening, if you already feel like you're doing a great job, great. But like you said earlier, maybe we don't always think we're doing or maybe we think we're doing a better job than we actually are. So kind of take a introspective look and say, what could we do better? And maybe talk to a few of your employees, get some of their feedback, and say, how can we improve the culture within our company so that we can continue to build up our employees and build a great team and a great company that really does change people's lives, even if it's just for the 15 minutes that they're on our lot. How can we do that? So
yeah. And Josh, on the podcast, you rock. You're doing an excellent job. I appreciate you. You're killing it.
I'll make sure that does not get edited out. So that
do not edit that out. That's good stuff. You're crushing it. Thank you.
If you want updates on things that are happening with OpSpot, new podcast episodes, we've got a lot of great stuff happening at the shows. The car wash shows coming up. Want to make sure that you guys are all aware of them. Text CHEERS, that's the word CHEERS, to the number 411-365. So that's CHEERS to 411-365. Also, we would love for you guys to join us at one of our one-day marketing summits. This is for customers and non-customers of OpSpot. We are diving deep into the frameworks that we use to make our customers successful. We're going to be showing you our most successful customers and what they have done to really build massive text clubs and then leverage those for a lot of revenue and a lot of profitability. So we're going to be diving deep into those in one day. It's going to be a loaded 8 hours, but we're going to be in Tampa on March 31st. The registration deadline for that is March 24th. We're also going to be in San Diego on June 23rd. We're going to be opening up registrations for that very soon. And then the last one is going to be in Newark, New Jersey on September 29th, I believe, whatever that Monday is. And we'll be opening up registration for that later on. So loaded 8 hours, one day, fly in, fly out. We're going to be diving deep into stuff. It's going to be a great time. And you can register for those at opspotsummit.com. And I'll put the link in the show notes for that as well. Would love for you guys to see you there. And it's going to be a great time.
Yeah. And just a real quick note for our clients that are going to be at the ICA show, we have a sign-up page, I think, on our website, but we'll be hosting a really cool Topgolf party on Saturday night, I believe, of the event. And so we're maxing it out at, I think, around 150 people. So make sure to get signed up for that. And I think you can, register up to 2 or 4 people from each company, Josh?
Yep.
What's that?
You can do 4 people from your business.
Okay. 4 people from your business. So we're excited to be able to hang out. And that's again, when we go to these shows, that's what we love to do, is really connect and have fun with our customers. So we appreciate you guys. And don't forget, subscribe, like, share the Cheers to Freedom podcast. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of you out there. God bless you. God bless your families and your companies. And until next time, Josh.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.